Covering Cayman, Little Cayman, Cayman Bride.
Cover me.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
The Buzz is proudly sponsored by Cayman Insurance Center, specializing in property, life, and other lines of insurance products and services. And Kirk Market. Experience a world of choice. And by Yum. Daily school lunch menus are available to browse on the Yum website. Just visit yumcayman.ky for more info.
And now,
Radio Cayman presents
The Buzz, an insightful and fresh take on a variety of issues that impact the local environment. This is where we address the topics that matter. Here's your host, Kathy Miller.
Good morning, Cayman. How is everybody doing this morning? Welcome to The Buzz. I'm your host, Kathy Miller. It's a beautiful Tuesday, March 11th. We're almost halfway through March. I can't believe it because January was the longest month ever. It was almost a year. And then February flew by and now we're halfway through March. And I think, if I'm correct, we have 49 days left until Election Day. And we are here to talk about general elections once again, and in studio I have with me Mr. Wesley Howell. He's the Supervisor of Elections, and we're going to be talking about what happened nomination day and everything that has to happen after nomination day going forward. So good morning, Wesley. How are you doing?
I'm well, thanks, Kathy. Thank you for having me. Good morning to your listeners. It's great to be here. Always great to be on Radio Cayman sharing information.
Absolutely, and I feel like you've been on with us the past few times. I might make you a co-host soon. We'll see what happens, but it's also a big learning experience for me. So I enjoy having you guys on and just learning a lot more about the process, and it's very interesting. Yeah. So we had nomination day last Monday.
Yes.
Monday the 3rd of March. And right before the show started, I was telling you that was my first time going out to one of the nomination stations, which I was in Georgetown, to see, okay, how does the process go, to interview the candidates and all the rest. And it was a really interesting thing to me. A lot of interesting things happen. And when you think it's going to be quiet, all of a sudden it's a flurry of activity and everybody's running around, and then you get a little kind of soft moment, and then it just happens all over again.
Absolutely. So for me, there's sort of, we start planning so far in advance, so it's just like one of those dates that happens. But there are two key days for me in the whole cycle. It's nomination day, because then you know exactly what you have in terms of nominated candidates, and then after elections the voting process closes at 6. The counting process starts, and the counting for me is like the other major thing, because again, you're not quite sure what's going to happen until you start to get those ballots out and count the votes and see where things are shaping up. But
right.
The emotions are high, the stakes are high, and it's a involved process.
Absolutely. It takes a lot of organization, a lot of different people, a lot of moving parts.
Absolutely.
So I wanted to kick off at least our part of the show talking about maybe the biggest news coming out of nomination day. I know that we were kind of surprised at some candidates coming out, some that didn't say a word, that just came out of the blue and said, boom, Here I am.
Absolutely.
But we had to have one candidate withdraw.
Yes.
And if I'm correct, it was for West Bay North, and that was Mr. Michael LeMay, who had to withdraw. Can you give us a bit of a summary on what happened there from your knowledge? So
effectively what happens after the nomination papers are received, we go through a vetting process. There's Section 29A of the Elections Act, which puts the onus on the Supervisor of Elections to review the candidates, and if there's a possibility, if there's evidence that they may be in breach of either 61 or 62 of the Constitution, either you're not qualified or you have some disqualifying criteria, then the process would be to petition the Grand Court and seek a determination as to whether or not the candidate is or isn't qualified. So that's an involved process, and the newly developed Grand Court rules around that sets out sort of a 42-day process of serving papers and preparing affidavits and going through to hearings and that kind of thing. So in advance of that, what I would normally do is reach out to candidates to say, hey, here's some information that I have. here's where I think it falls within the legislation, and here's what that roadmap looks like. So if you want to digest that and consider your options, then here's a quick heads up of as to where we're going. So I did that with Mr. LeMay, and he chose to withdraw. So for me, officially, he's withdrawn. He did it early enough that we could note that on our website. He's not on the ballot for West Bay North, so there's only 4 candidates, not 5 candidates.
Okay.
And then we progressed on to yesterday, issuing postal ballots. So
Okay.
His withdrawal came in on Friday.
Okay.
We were
Friday.
like just about to hit print on the ballot papers, and they were prepared and out the door for postal voting, which started yesterday.
Okay, so we're going to get into the postal voting, but I have a couple more questions
Yep.
about Mr. LeMay's situation. I did hear in an interview that you conducted, I think it was with Marl Road, and if I'm remembering correctly, he said it was the next day after nomination day that he got a call from elections office.
Yeah.
That was fast.
We tend not to sleep. Well, by law, we have to issue postal ballots within 7 days of nomination day. So, yeah, there's some crazy sort of 18, 20-hour days right leading up to nomination and immediately afterwards. And the teams at the elections office are fantastic. A lot of them have been there for a long time. Very knowledgeable, and yeah, so we sort of plug through. But yeah, so we received that information.
You received the information? Like, was it a tip-off, or you?
No, so
you researched and found that information.
yeah. So when folks declare ahead of time, it does give us an opportunity to look at social media, search archives, and those sorts of things. Formally on nomination day, then we can request information from other government agencies as it would relate to their qualification or disqualification, and we ended up doing that and going through. So they advise to persons who are seeking to run for office in the next 4 years or sooner if we have a by-election or early general election, would be to make sure you understand the qualification, disqualification criteria, and review your history to make sure that you don't fall within there.
Right.
And just to sort of summarize, when it comes to convictions, if a candidate or even if a sitting MP is convicted to 12 months or more of imprisonment, that would fall into the disqualification criteria.
Right.
When it comes to crimes of dishonesty.
Can you break that down, what that might, because that seems that there's a bit of a spectrum of what crimes of dishonesty might involve.
Yeah. So they relate to sort of crimes under the penal code and some other legislation that have sort of theft, fraud, those types of crimes. With those types of crimes, regardless of the length of sentence, so you don't have to be 12 months at that point, that's an automatic disqualification. And then further to that, the Spent Convictions Act does not, so even though you can get a clean, your record expunged so that it doesn't appear on your record for the purposes of elected office, the expungement has no bearing on that. So even if you had a matter expunged, that old matter still shows up. So there's a specific carve out in that particular law
that would allow you to access that information.
That would say that information, even though it's expunged, still applies if you're seeking office. Yeah.
Because that's what I was wondering too. Like if his conviction was spent, so it would be kind of, I guess, wiped from record in a sense.
Yeah.
But if he was seeking, as you said, he was seeking a seat to run in office, then you would be privy to that information.
Absolutely. And there's some other criteria where you have to disclose, even if it's expunged, if you're working with the vulnerable, the elderly, younger persons, if you're going into accounting, so there's some other things that, it's not a complete clean slate, like as if it didn't happen for most things, but as it relates to elected office, those convictions still apply.
Okay, understood. Well, thank you for explaining that.
Yes.
It's good to know. I was a little confused. Well, how did they find out that information so fast?
We did get some questions yesterday because we published the declaration of contested elections on Friday. So we effectively had between Monday and Friday, with Wednesday being a holiday, to go through the list. And say, for example, we had an area where we only had 2 candidates and one of them chose to withdraw, then that would leave just one nominated candidate. So that candidate would automatically become the MP without an election happening in that district. So we sort of give ourselves that sort of 5 days to do that initial vetting. And if it still remains that you have more than one candidate in an electoral district, then that particular electoral district then has a contested election. So that notice was done, sort of ready to be printed in the paper from Tuesday night, Wednesday.
Okay.
So Mr. LeMay does appear in a notice that was published in the Cayman Times on Friday, and that was issued in the Gazette on Friday because they have a longer lead time. But the withdrawal came in on Friday after the paper was out and after the Gazette was done. So we've now updated the website on the nominations page to show that, and of course he's not on the ballot paper, so
right.
Yeah.
So you had to kind of redo the ballot papers right before you hit print.
Because we were in discussions, effectively what we did was we designed 2 ballot papers, one with 5, one with 4. So the timelines are so tight that we just gotta.
That was pretty good. That was good thinking. Then
yeah, absolutely.
You were proactive with that. Okay, thank you for explaining, because I know that was kind of like the biggest news, and some people have questions about it. I definitely had questions about it, so it's good to understand, have a little bit more knowledge with what happened in that process. Now we're going to go into the postal ballots, because you did just mention that. So you did print the first kind of set of postal ballots on Friday.
Yeah, so over the weekend we printed all of the ballots, so they're all secured and sorted. And the first up is always postal ballots. And yesterday we had 121 ballots issued. All districts but Georgetown Central. We did have a couple of postal ballots for Georgetown Central, but they're all new voters who won't be official on the Georgetown Central list until the 1st of April. Right. So those names are there. We're ready to go. As soon as the list is published, we'll dispatch those. We also had 3 postal ballots dealt with in Cayman and Little Cayman, so shout out to the folks over there. We literally had folks on the plane yesterday morning taking the ballot papers over, and they were issuing by sort of early afternoon. So, we're off to the races.
And why are people opting to do the postal ballots? Like, what makes you eligible to vote via post?
So, I can probably best explain this by saying who's not eligible to vote.
Okay.
By post.
Oh, that was going to be my next question. So.
If you're within the Cayman Islands and you're not traveling overseas, you won't be away on election day, then you don't qualify for a postal ballot. So postal ballots available to persons on island who are going to travel, and their travel plans have them being off island during election day. They provide evidence of that, and we can go ahead and start processing their postal ballots.
What kind of evidence are you looking for?
Plane tickets, that sort. So it's not just a reservation, but you actually have to have bought your ticket and show that you will be away on those particular days. So that's a legal requirement for us to show that folks are not going to be here. Students overseas, persons overseas for medical, other persons who might be residing temporarily overseas.
When we say temporarily, what is that kind of gauge?
I say temporarily because there is another criteria under the qualification as a voter, that you can lose your qualification to vote if you're overseas for a longer period than is allowed under the Elections Act.
Do we know what that longer period is?
I can look it up in the break.
Okay, no problem. We're about to go to that, actually, so good segue. Let's go to that, and then we'll go back to the discussion on the postal ballots.
Awesome.
All right.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Historical Vignette Series, brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. The Cayman Islands, He hath founded it upon the seas.
Captain Swanson Curry Ebanks, 1914 through 1989. Curry Ebanks was the oldest of 10 children of John Audnett and Celestia Elvira Ebanks, and attended West Bay Primary School. Taught by some of the great Caymanian sea captains, he took command of his first ship at 17. He qualified as a master mariner at 21 and continued his life at sea until a car accident terminated his maritime career in 1960. He married 3 times and was widowed twice, and he fathered 8 children. He is best remembered for his victorious battle with the 1944 hurricane, which overtook his ship, the Jemison, en route from Swan Island to Grand Cayman. At the height of the storm, he decided to demast the ship to prevent it from rolling over, which would have meant certain death for everyone aboard. During the next 8 days, the ship had to be demasted 3 times. Each time, Captain Curry had the sails put into a seaman's bag and attached to the bow to function as a sea anchor, guiding the ship purely by dead reckoning. When the storm subsided and he got his first confirmed sighting, he was 5 miles off East End.
Since 1993, Rotary Central has worked diligently each year to provide quality bus shelters to our community. A traveling convenience to our school children, the elderly, young people going to work, guest workers, and visitors using the public bus. We, Rotary Central, help you, our advertisers, make it happen. Your marketing dollar travels a far way. Positioning your message, your product, your services, your presence in over 83 bus shelters. Every dollar you spend, every advert you place helps to build another bus shelter, providing modest comfort for Cayman travelers. Reserve space now on the only billboard medium in the Cayman Islands. Email rotaryshelters@gmail.com. rotaryshelters@gmail.com. The Bus Shelters, a partner in community convenience. Another inspiration program by Rotary Central Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman's historical vignettes was brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
I'm Michael Webster.
And I'm Denise Brown of Cayman Insurance Center.
Family is not the most important thing, it's everything.
We have worked with the community and their families on protecting themselves for the future.
Whether it's providing top-rated life insurance
or protecting your family's household investment.
From our family to yours, we understand and we care.
I'm Denise Brown. Call me at 814-7229.
And I'm Michael Webster at 925-5433.
We are Cayman Insurance Center,
specializing in property, life, and other lines of insurance products and services at an affordable rate. We are Michael and
Denise at Cayman Insurance Center.
Call today.
Hey Cayman parents, we get it. You're underslept, over-trafficked. You can barely find your sanity in the morning because you're still trying to find your kids' shoes and lunch boxes. Let Yum take some of the stress away. Every day, over 3,000 students enjoy delicious, nutritious meals from Yum. Over 5 million lunches served and counting. Private school parents? Browse the Yum Cayman app and order up to a month in advance or last minute by 12 a.m. the night before. Government school students? Just drop by the Yum canteen. No pre-orders needed. Yum can't help you find your sanity, but we can sure make your mornings just a bit easier. Check out daily menus at myschoolpos.com or visit yumcayman.ky to learn more.
The Buzz with your host, Kathy Miller.
Welcome back to The Buzz. I'm your host, Kathy Miller, and we are talking about general elections, everything that's coming up, the criteria needed if you're going to be doing the postal ballots, the mobile voting, what candidates need to be kind of briefed on and what we can expect from candidates happening. We talked a little bit about nominations day, the one candidate that had to withdraw based on something that would have them disqualified, a conviction that would have them likely disqualified had this gone to Grand Court to deal with. And that was for West Bay North. That was candidate, or former candidate, I should say, Mr. Michael LeMay. And we were just talking about the postal ballots, understanding how the postal ballots are happening. And right before the break, I asked if Wesley knew how long that time was if you were residing overseas and you were a registered voter, but you're now residing overseas. I think you said somewhere in the law you can't vote if you've been overseas a certain amount of time. So I was asking, okay, what is that amount of time?
Yeah. So
I think we found it.
The criteria to qualify as a voter and remain qualified as a voter is that you have to be within, you can't be outside of the Cayman Islands for more than 2 years of the last 4 years.
Okay.
And the rest
consistently? Or did I throw you another wrench?
So let me read it verbatim. Yeah. Has been a resident of the Cayman Islands for a period or periods amounting to not less than 2 years out of the 4 years immediately preceding the date of registration. So it's cumulative. It doesn't have to be 2 years in a slot. So
right, amounting to.
Yeah. So if you're spending 9 months of the year somewhere else, then collectively that's more than 2 years out of the last 4 years. So it's a bit rigid. There's some exemptions to that. If you're working for the government, if you work for the airlines, if you're away for medical, if you're away for school. If you work on a ship. So there's a number of, and some of these go all the way back to the 1972 Constitution. So all these requirements sort of are grandmothered in.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But so that's the criteria. Persons, and I got a little WhatsApp there to ask this questions. Person can apply for postal ballots online. We have a PDF form that you can fill out old school with pen or digitally sign and send that through. We also have an online form sign up. So if you're on the website, click on forms, look for postal. First link is the PDF version. The second link is the online version. You need a witness to sign your application form. That person doesn't have to be a voter. They cannot be a candidate or an agent for a candidate. That's illegal.
Okay.
But if you're away at school, any roommate or any friend, even if they're not Caymanian, can sign as a witness. We then get those details in. That goes to the registering officers. They process the applications. If they approve it, then they generate a list for the returning officers and they issue the ballots and they're off. So this year we're sending them by courier. That bid was won by DHL, so DHL is the courier dispatching for us. So most ballots are going to get to their international destinations within 2-3 days, unless you're someplace really obscure. And then included in the packet that we send out is a prepaid return to us. So you send the ballot back by DHL as well. And as long as it's received before 6 p.m. on election day, it will be counted. If it comes in after 6 p.m., then no ballots are counted after that period. So we'll just destroy them when we destroy all the other materials related to the election.
Okay. Do you open up those postal votes on election day, like after 6 p.m.?
After the polls close, yeah. Okay. So the returning officer will go through a process, and at that point, they're checking the declaration of identity, which is it's a requirement to fill out. You sort of declaring, I am who I say I am, and I am the person that this ballot's been issued to, and then they prepare those. They're entered into a box. They're actually mixed with another box of ballots from election day, and then we'll go through and they'll start counting after they do that check. They're also checking to make sure that no witness is a candidate or an agent. If there is, then that goes off for investigation purposes, and we go forward from there.
Has there been any incidents of tampering with the postal votes, or, when it comes, because you have to rely on a courier service, right?
Yeah.
So for me, I'd be I'm already super paranoid if I have to send any documents out. So in that kind of sense, how do we ensure that, there isn't any tampering happening?
Yeah, so the return officers prepare the ballots in such a way that it's sort of they can tell that it's a ballot that they've touched. They use a particular stamp, their signatures on that ballot. Those bits are removed before the ballot is counted, so they can't tell whose ballot it is. So the ballot actually has two parts. The top part is called a counterfoil. That's removed before the count happens. But once the counterfoil is attached, there are markings on there from the returning officer. They can say, well, yeah, that's the one that I sent out. So you can't fraudulently just send back random ballots that weren't sent out to persons. And the couriers are secure. They transport lots of important documents for lots of folks. And there's a requirement for signatures on receipt. Other persons who are on island, who are traveling, they have the option of having the ballot prepared, sealed up, and waiting for them at the elections office. So they come in with their ID. We issue them with their ballot. There's a little polling station set up there. They do their markings, sign their forms, seal up their ballots, and then we drop it in a box for the returning officer to drop in their box when they come to the office to do their issues. Okay. So that's sort of the process of sending overseas, sending locally. Other persons who may choose to say, if I'm traveling next week, then we can deliver the ballot to the house locally. They can then fill it out, drop it off, send it back by local courier to us, and we'll secure that until election day.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
So that there's that process as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't have to wait until election day or a couple days. You can really, if you get your postal ballot within the next few days, you can send in your vote. Right.
Yeah. I mean, some folks have sent in their postal ballot and said, I want to get this in because I don't want to wait until the deadline of April 19th. But I'm not quite sure how I'm going to vote yet. Not all the manifestos are out, and so other persons saying, I know exactly who I want to vote for. Please send me my ballot. I want to get this over and done.
Well, when you say there's a deadline of April 19th, a deadline for that person to have received their postal vote?
To request.
To
request the postal vote.
That's kind of real close. April 19th is a little close. I mean, if you know you're overseas or you're going overseas or you somewhat live overseas.
April 17th is the deadline for postal voting. Saturday the 19th is our last issue of postal ballots.
That's close.
And we're doing it on Saturday. So the deadline is actually specified in the law. Mm-hmm. And we used to send ballots via registered mail. And with that, I mean, that made it really tight. Now that we're using courier, it's not quite so bad, but I would implore people not to wait until the very last moment.
Don't stress them out.
Even if you don't know who you want to vote for at this point, go ahead and request your ballot so that you can deal with it. And, once you've done your markings and you've voted for your candidate and the referendum questions, because they're all on the same ballot paper, then get it back to us and don't sit on it and wait until the last minute to send it back as well, because right after Thursday the 17th, the Friday is Good Friday. Then we have Saturday the 19th, and then go into Easter Monday.
Right.
We then start mobile voting that week after Easter Monday, and then the following Wednesday is the election day. So
okay.
Yeah, it's really, really, really tight timelines there.
And yesterday was the first batch of postal votes that went out.
Yes.
Now we know that April 1st will be the final electoral list that will be issued.
Yes, become official.
Right.
Yeah, we have hearings this Friday. The chief magistrate under the elections law, she's called the revising officer, will be hearing and deciding on claims and objections to the list. Once that's finalized, the list will be generated and ready to go live on the 1st of April.
Okay, we're going to get into that as well. But right now we got to go to the 8 a.m. news. And I want to remind people, if you do have any questions, I don't even want to say remind because I didn't tell anybody yet. If you have any questions, you want to give us a call, you can do so after the 8 a.m. news. 925-3261 is the number to WhatsApp or text. 1-800-534-8255 to call, or 949-8037 or 949-6990. And let's go to the 8 a.m. news.
Thank you, Kathy. And studio time now is 8 o'clock, brought to you with the kind compliments of Foster's. When you're on the go, the experienced team at Foster's Pharmacy are here to help. Drop off your prescription while you shop or WhatsApp us and we'll prepare it, ready for your arrival.
Whether you need prescription or over-the-counter medications, blood glucose testing, or advice on vitamins and supplements, we're here early in the morning to late at night. Both of our locations at our Camana Bay and airport stores are open 7 a.m. to 9 p.m., Monday to Saturday.
For more info, visit fosters.ky/pharmacy. Foster's Pharmacy. Better health because we care.
The voice of the Cayman Islands.
89.9 FM in Grand Cayman and 93.9 FM in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman.
Silver wings shining in the sunlight.
Radio Cayman.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by ValueMed Pharmacy. Save time and order your prescription refills online at value-medpharmacy.com. VALU-medpharmacy.com.
For today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
I'm April Cummings with your latest news. The Parliament of the Cayman Islands and the Youth Parliament Organizing Committee successfully hosted more than 24 students for the 18th Youth Parliament debate on Monday. CIGTV's Takia Smith has more.
Honorable Catherine Ebanks-Wilkes, chair of the Youth Parliament Organizing Committee, gave an opening statement where she told the youth parliamentarians that they were not just the leaders of tomorrow, but also the change makers of today. The two motions debated were motion number 1, a multifaceted approach to reducing the cost of living and ensuring economic relief for Caymanians, and motion 2, the implementation of a sex offender registry and enhanced victim protection measures. Speaker of the House, Honorable Alden McLaughlin, also shared inspiring words with the young parliamentarians before discussions began. The youth parliamentarians discussed housing, health coverage, and other pressing topics. The session can be viewed on demand on the CIG YouTube channel.
Thank you, Takia. Young Caymanians between the ages of 16 and 20 who are passionate about the ocean may qualify for a fully funded scholarship to attend the Central Caribbean Marine Institute's CCMI 2025 Young Environmentalist Leadership Course. Education Coordinator Ryan McLaughlin.
The influence of the YO program on individuals that take part creates a distinct and lasting impact. Young Caymanians have the invaluable opportunity to gain hands-on knowledge, practical experience, and meaningful connections in the marine science field. This helps to shape the next generation of environmental leaders dedicated to preserving our marine ecosystems.
He says since the program started in 2012, more than 120 students have successfully completed the course. The 4-month program spans 2 islands, offers multiple experiences, and provides a unique immersive opportunity to gain professional skills, dive industry certifications, and hands-on experience in the field. There are 10 fully funded scholarships available. The deadline for applications is the 21st of March. You can find out more by reaching out to the Central Caribbean Marine Institute. With the first edition of K-Fest on film, Splice, under its belt, the second edition is coming up fast.
You can expect to see documentaries, experimental films, shorts, and features in every genre, so there's truly something for everyone. 2 themes drove K-Fest on film. We used them in selecting the pieces that you'll see on screen. One, liminal, and the second one was catharsis.
That's Rita Estevanovich speaking to CIDTV there, who says you're invited to the second edition on Sunday the 16th of March from 2 to 10 p.m. You can find out more at bigscreen.ky or by following the Cayman National Cultural Foundation social media channels. That is your local news at this hour. I'm April Cummings.
BBC News with Justine Green. Unidentified gunmen have attacked an express train carrying hundreds of passengers in southwest Pakistan. Several people are reported injured, including the driver. A separatist group in Balochistan province has claimed responsibility, saying it has taken hostages. Ukraine has carried out its biggest drone attack so far on Moscow and its surrounding area overnight. It comes as high-level US and Ukrainian delegations hold talks in Saudi Arabia as Washington tries to engineer a ceasefire. The Russian authorities say 3 people died when drones and debris struck residential buildings and a car park. France's defence minister has rejected the idea of demilitarising Ukraine in any peace settlement, stressing that Ukraine's army is its main security guarantee. Russia seeks the demilitarisation of Ukraine, which Kyiv has rejected. Uganda has deployed special forces to South Sudan's capital Juba amid rising tensions between President Salva Kiir and his deputy Riek Machar. The head of Uganda's army confirmed the deployment as fears grow over a possible return to civil war. The United Nations says more than 100 civilians, mostly Alawites, were killed in Syria's coastal region during clashes with the new authorities. War monitors estimate the death toll at nearly 1,100. The International Criminal Court has confirmed it issued the warrant that's been used to arrest the former president of the Philippines, Rodrigo Duterte, in Manila. His daughter Sara, who's currently vice president, says he's going to be flown to the court in the Netherlands tonight. Reports from Somalia say gunmen have stormed a hotel in the central town of Beledweyne, killing at least 4 people. The hotel was hosting elders, politicians and security officials when the attack happened, with Islamist al-Shabaab militants suspected to be behind it. A siege is continuing. And Manchester United has announced they're going to build a brand new football stadium holding 100,000 fans. BBC News.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by ValueMed Pharmacy. Save time and order your prescription refills online at value-medpharmacy.com. VALU-medpharmacy.com.
Now, more than ever, supporting your immune system is crucial to helping your body fight off illnesses like the common cold, the flu, and COVID-19. At ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road and in Buttontown, we carry all the essential vitamins and minerals to help support your immune system and improve your overall health. Some of our top immunity support picks are vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, elderberry, and quercetin, or the popular 7-in-1 immunity support. Our pharmacists are always on hand to help guide you and answer any questions. Visit ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road or Buttontown. Live happy, live healthy with ValueMed Pharmacy.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman with the latest up-to-date, accurate news and information. For your convenience, the headline news will be repeated on our sister station, Breeze 105.3 FM, weekdays at 8:30 a.m. Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or download the Radio Cayman app in the App Store or log on to www.radiocayman.gov.ky and stay connected to what's happening in the community. Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
There's nothing more important than your health, and seeking expert healthcare with physicians you can trust is what you deserve. UHealth, the University of Miami Health System, offers peace of mind to you and your family with a first-class experience. Our patient coordinators assist with everything you need before, during, and after your stay with us. As South Florida's only academic-based health system, UHealth offers cutting-edge treatment, compassionate care, and life-changing results just a flight away. Learn more at umiamihealth.org/international.
Follow Radio Social media, X, formerly Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Interact with our talk shows on YouTube. Download our official Radio Cayman app, or you can log on to our website, www.radiocayman.gov.ky. You can also add us to WhatsApp
on 925-3261.
All the latest information, breaking news, community events, and more. Radio Cayman.
The 8 a.m. weather update, brought to you by CG Britcade, where people come first.
Good morning. Let's take a look at the latest weather report. Current temperature is 81 degrees. Relative humidity is 85%. The barometric pressure is 1014.9 millibars. The wind is north-northwest at 4 knots. Synopsis indicate a cold front just west of Grand Cayman will move across the area later this morning and become stationary just south of the area tonight. Increased wave action is expected along the western shores with some swells from this afternoon. Stronger winds are likely for Cayman Brac and Little Cayman tonight, as some locally stronger winds blow from the lee of Cuba. Radar images show scattered showers in and around the Cayman area with a general movement towards the east. Now the forecast for the Cayman Islands for today, calling for partly cloudy skies with cloudy spells and a 30% chance of showers through the late morning, especially for Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. Temperatures today will be in the low to mid-80s. Winds will be west to northwest at 5 knots or less, shifting north to northeast at 5 to 10 knots in the afternoon, and seas will be slight to moderate with wave heights of 2 to 4 feet mainly along the western shores. Swells are likely along the western coast from this afternoon. Tonight, we can expect partly cloudy skies with cloudy spells and a 20% chance of showers, and temperatures falling to the mid-70s. Tonight, your winds will be northeast at 5 to 10 knots, increasing and becoming 15 to 20 knots for Cayman Brac and Little Cayman for a short time before daybreak tomorrow. Seas will be slight to moderate with wave heights of 2 to 4 feet, mainly along the western shores. Swells are likely along the western coast. Today's high tide will occur this morning at 8:28. Low tide this afternoon at 2:41, and a high tide again tonight at 8:30. The sun will set this evening at 6:33 and will rise tomorrow morning at 6:36. And the outlook is calling for swells along the west coast of Grand Cayman through tomorrow evening. Thereafter, a shift in winds are expected as a high-pressure system moves over the western Atlantic Ocean.
Hey, Bill, glad to see you back in the office.
Who?
Bill.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I think you're mistaking me for someone else.
Tom.
Nope.
Jack.
No.
Alex.
No. Want me to just tell you?
Nope, I got this, George.
No, you don't. Still not me.
Adam.
Not even close, man.
We're like a coworker that didn't forget your name. CG Britke. Good like that.
Okay, good to see you, Mike John Sean.
It's Mordecai.
The 8 a.m. weather update brought to you by CG Britke, where people come first.
The new KFC nuggets have arrived. That unlike the no-gets, ours are handmade using 100% white meat, unlike the no-gets. At KFC, we hand-bread every day to achieve the perfect flavor. After you try our delicious and crispy nuggets in the original recipe, you'll never settle for less. KFC, the real nuggets. It's finger-licking good.
The Lions Club of Grand Cayman is proud to continue to serve our island community. During the last Lionistic year, they successfully carried out community projects like the Prostate and Colon Cancer Awareness Campaign, sight screenings, spelling bees, swim meets, and their community food pantry. The Lions Club of Grand Cayman looks forward to continuing their service during the 2024-2025 Lionistic year and for many more years to come. The Lions Club of Grand Cayman, where there's a need, there's a lion, serving the community for over 50 years.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Enjoy a delicious start to your day with breakfast from Subway.
Good morning. Let's take a look this time at what's happening on our roads. Coming from the east, expect delays as traffic is heavy on the Lefa Pearson Highway. Slow-moving traffic on Cool Road. Also, eastbound traffic on Cool Road moving a little slow as well. Edward Street, moderate flow of traffic into Georgetown on Shedwell, not looking too bad as traffic is flowing moderately. Godfrey Nixon Way and Eastern Avenue, traffic flowing at a good pace in both directions. On the West Bay Road, in front of the Ritz, traffic is steady but flowing. Coming off of the Esther Tibbetts Highway, traffic is moving on moderately and continuing on to the Industrial Park area. North Sound Road, both directions moving steadily. If you see any accidents or incidents, let us know by calling us at 949-6990. Join us again at about 10 minutes past 12. We'll give you another look at traffic.
Subway and Oreo has changed the dessert game. Introducing the Oreo Footlong Cookie, a full 12 inches of chocolatey, creamy goodness. It's big, it's bold, and it's here for a limited time. Perfect for sharing or not. We won't judge. Want it fast? Order ahead with the Subway Cayman Islands app for quick pickup and earn loyalty points. Or get it delivered straight to your door with Bento and Let's Eat. Don't wait. Treat yourself today. The Oreo Footlong Cookie is calling your name. Subway. Eat fresh. Snack sweet.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Enjoy a delicious start to your day with breakfast from Subway.
Yesterday,
Today,
always and forever.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands. The Buzz with your host,
Kathy Miller.
Good morning. Welcome back to The Buzz. I am your host, Kathy Miller. And in studio with me, I have Mr. Wesley Howell, who is the Supervisor of Elections. And we are talking about General Elections 2025, what had happened on Nominations Day, right after Nominations Day, the kind of small dramas that were unfolding, the first issuance of the postal ballots that went out yesterday, I believe it was. And we talked about the postal ballots a lot of the details and what's required or what makes you eligible and the kind of documents you need as well to show that you're going to be off island and you are currently off island and you need to vote via postal ballot. And now we're going to talk about mobile voting. Mm-hmm. Unless there's anything you want to wrap up with the postal ballots.
I think we covered it. Just to re-emphasize that the deadline date is the 17th, not the 19th that I initially said, April 17th, but that's a Thursday before Good Friday, so please don't wait until the very last day and flood us.
That's to apply for
postal
vote
or mobile. Actually, it's the same. It's the same deadline. So if we segue into mobile. So mobile, I shared at the beginning that postal is only if you're traveling off island or you're already off island.
Yes.
Mobile is available to persons who need some extra assistance or are unable to be at the poll because of a work commitment that would make it difficult for them to leave. So our elections workers who are working on election day vote by mobile. So we don't deploy people in the same location that they vote in. So someone voting in Buttontown West is likely working in Georgetown or West Bay. So they'll vote on mobile voting day. Persons who are disabled, elderly persons who may still be able to move around but would have some difficulty getting out on election day can apply for mobile. And if you choose to apply and you don't vote on mobile day, you still have the option of coming out to the polls. So as long as you hadn't cast your vote, you have the option of doing that. But once the deadline hits, no more mobile voting applications would be received after that date. So we tend to get folks from the hospitals, folks at prison who are sentenced to less than 12 months and hadn't been removed from the register of electors, persons on remand at the prison, persons at the Pines, and then other persons who are at home and so on. So mobile voting is effectively, we take the polling station to the person. So it's the presiding officer, the poll clerks, the ballot box, the police officer, agents for the candidates, and they go from one location to the next. They issue the ballots. The person has, if in some cases somebody's sat in their bed, there's a lap polling station unit that we deployed, and that goes on their lap. They have the little surround, so they do it privately. They mark their ballot, drop it in the box.
So it's still a physical ballot that they're marking?
Absolutely, it's a physical ballot, and we then move from location to location. So it's quite a procession.
How does that work with the agents coming as well? Because
the agents are there, so whenever we issue ballots, the agents of the candidates have the ability to be there. Technically, the candidates do too, but we're really frowning on the fact that it has been really disastrous in the past where the police have had to ask the candidate to remain outside because the person felt so strongly about that individual. It's like, I don't want you in my house. So
that means I'm definitely not voting for you.
My strong recommendation is, candidates use their agents when it comes to mobile voting.
Okay.
Because people really feel
intimidated
when you yourself show up. It really does look a little bit desperate when you do that yourself.
Right.
So although it's allowed by law, it's definitely use your agents for that.
Okay. I can see that be very intimidating.
Yeah, absolutely.
Imagine just one candidate popping up and you're like, oh.
Or in districts that you have 5, you could potentially have 5 candidates. And so that's really
swarming you in your home.
The land culture at that point. And we also have the referendum questions on the ballot paper. So we may also have observers under the referendum bit that choose to travel along with the mobile teams. So those days are set out, and we'll call ahead of time, try to figure out when people are going to be at their location, when we can visit, and plan that. For our staff that are working, also like police officers, doctors, firefighters, they can also apply to vote by by mobile voting, and instead of going by bus, we'll set up a location, and they go there. So they can vote usually between 9 and 12, and then that team would then jump on the bus and finish up the visits. So that's mobile voting. Again, the forms for that are available on the website, and it's again PDF, an online version. For postal ballots, you have to include your ID, so we know that it's you that's requesting it. For mobile, nice to have the ID, but you still have to be able to prove that you are who you say you are on the day when they show up. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to vote if they can't tell that.
So that's the criteria that's needed for the mobile voting.
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
Make sure you have your ID on you.
Yeah, so it's just like election day, but we're doing it early and we're coming to you rather than you come to us.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does anything make somebody ineligible to apply for mobile voting?
So the criteria sort of set out as to who can qualify and the reasons why. The work commitment is a regular one that folks. I'll quickly hasten to say that the Elections Act makes it an offence for employers to not give their employees paid time off to go vote. So if someone is scheduled to work on election day and they choose to pop out to vote, the employer is obligated to give them the time to do that and are not allowed to dock their pay for that period of time as well. But we'll push out some messaging around that a little bit later on, closer to that day.
Is there usually pushback from employers, or have you?
In some cases, and I would just encourage the employees to sort of make some pre-plans, especially, like if you are the only person manning a particular station, then don't wait till 5:30 on election day.
Yeah.
I need to run out and vote. So
something I would do very last minute in that sense. Wesley's just like, all right, she's going to be the person on April 17th who requests the postal ballot. I won't, just so you know.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's anything else with the mobile voting that we should know. You did mention that the deadline for mobile voting. Oh, the locations. We have to talk about
Absolutely.
that.
Absolutely. I want to
Locations
stress
and schedule.
that for the Little Cayman voters, because Little Cayman and Cayman Brac West are one electoral district.
Right.
So unless they're planning to travel to the Brac on election day and vote in the Brac on election day, then they need to sign up for mobile voting so that we can go to them in Little Cayman. So we'll fly the team over from Cayman Brac, poll the voters in Little Cayman, and then fly everybody back to the Brac. Little Cayman's day is Thursday, the 24th of April, is the day that we will be in Little Cayman. We're using the Public Works Department offices to do the stationary voting location there. And I believe the hours are 10 till 1, but I'll confirm that. Miss Ellen Lazary, the registering officer for Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, has already emailed all of the new voters for Little Cayman to say you need to sign up. For the folks who've been on Little Cayman for several elections now, they would know that they need to do this, because otherwise they go by boat or plane to Cayman Brac to vote on election day. Yeah.
So these are the only two ways you can really vote if you're in Little Cayman.
Either
unless you're going to be off island.
Yeah,
It should
absolutely
be mobile. If you're not going to be in the
Yeah.
Brac, definitely sign up for the mobile voting.
So I always get the question, can I request a postal ballot because I'm in Little Cayman? No, you can't, because you're within the Cayman Islands, and we can't issue that because you'd be here for election day.
Right.
So, yeah.
So it has to be the mobile or fly to the Brac.
Or you go to the Brac.
Or take the boat.
A day
Yes.
trip, yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that makes sense. And is there a certain schedule where you're going to be rolling out the mobile voting?
So the Tuesday after Easter Monday, we start off with Bordentown East, Bordentown West, Newland, Savannah, and Prospect.
Okay.
So there's a lot of moving parts there.
Yeah, I feel like that's a lot.
Yeah.
A lot to cover in one day.
Well, normally we have 5 days to do this, but because Monday is a holiday.
Yeah.
And the following week is the election. And the week before that, the Friday is a holiday. And the deadline to apply isn't until the 17th. We were down to 4 days, so we're like crunching it in there. West Bay is on Wednesday the 23rd. West Bay North, Central, West Bay West, West Bay South, and Georgetown North. So that's that bit. On Thursday the 24th, Little Cayman. And we're also doing Georgetown Central, Georgetown West, Georgetown East, Georgetown South, and Red Bay. And then Friday we have Northside, East End, Cayman Brac East, Cayman Brac West, but not Little Cayman. So Little Cayman is the day before. Cayman Brac East is, and Cayman Brac West, excluding Little Cayman, is Friday the 25th.
Okay.
All of this information is on our website. It's under the election program, including the deadlines and the days that we're doing that. And we'll also be pushing out additional media when we get media releases when we get closer to those dates.
Okay. A comment had come in from WhatsApp. So I appreciate this comment because it's a great one. I didn't know this. I can't remember if you had mentioned it, actually. And it was about if you've been issued a postal ballot, even if you decide that you're staying in Cayman, your plans got canceled, or you suddenly have to return to the island, can you vote in person, even if you've been issued the postal ballot already?
No. So if you have a postal ballot issued to you, then you're struck off as a postal voter. And that ballot's been delivered, so we would have confirmation that the ballot was delivered to you. If you spoil the ballot, you can return it and get a new one issued. You can bring the ballot back yourself after you voted and drop it off, give it to the returning officer, bring it to the elections office. Don't give it to the candidate, because if they touch it, then that would be illegal. But once that postal ballot is brought in before 6 p.m. on election day, it's counted. So if you're a student, for example, and you're coming home for Easter, but you got your ballot sent to you before you travel, you can fill it out and choose to bring it and deliver it if you're coming home.
And that would be the only way you're allowed to vote at that point.
Otherwise, we run the real risk of somebody being able to vote twice.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great point. Is there...
And that's why the agents of the candidates are there for the postal ballot issues, because we are generating the list of who we sent ballots to. So anyway, they show up on election day and try to vote in person, we go, no, you've already been issued your ballot.
Right.
So, yeah.
And they know that.
Yeah, and they know that because we provide them with a list of who we've issued to. Yeah, right. Absolutely.
Okay.
So we went over. Question, though.
It was a great question. I think it came from somebody that I used to be a part with the elections office.
Okay,
so, it was a little prompting me a little bit, but I didn't know that information. I don't think that we had discussed that.
No, I didn't cover that little nuance for
sure. Yeah, it was a really good one for sure. And so mobile, if you want to be registered to be a mobile voter, that also has to happen by April 17th.
Yeah, that's the deadline to apply.
That's the deadline to apply. Okay. Any other kind of bits that you want to talk about when it comes to mobile voting?
No, I think that's it. It's for me. We will have wheelchairs and other assistance available on election day for folks that choose to come out and might need a bit more assistance. But if you want to make it comfortable, then do that. In some cases, some of our elderly persons and other persons with disabilities might be having a really off day when we show up to do the mobile voting, and they're not able to vote on that day. If you don't vote when it's your mobile day to do so, then you still have the option, as long as you hadn't voted, to show up on election day.
Okay. So that's the difference between the mobile and postal in a sense. Okay.
But there's no ballot issued to that mobile voter. So we wouldn't have issued a ballot if you were, having an off day and weren't able to.
Right.
Yeah. To deal with it on that day. And I've seen that when I did mobile voting, someone was having a really off day, not wanting to communicate and whatever, and then on election day they're all fired up and come out with assistance and cast their vote, no problem, on election day. So as long as you hadn't had a ballot paper issued to you, then you have the option of voting on election day.
Okay, well, that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
I like that. When it comes to the ballot, that it is a combined ballot.
Yes.
You had mentioned this a couple times, so you can make your vote for the referendum, and then of course the candidate that you're voting for, right? Is there, I guess, anything with that combined ballot that you want people to understand?
So you have a choice to vote for a candidate or not, and you have a choice to vote for yes or no for any of the referendum questions, and there are 3 referendum questions on the ballot paper. If you don't vote for a candidate, or if you don't vote for any of the referendum questions, you won't spoil your ballot. So if you vote for no candidates, but you vote for one of the referendum questions, we would just count that question as recorded, whether it's yes or no. And if you choose to vote for candidates and not vote for the referendum, that's fine. If you choose to select your one candidate and answer all the referendum questions, that's perfect as well. So all of those combinations are valid. No way to spoil your ballot by leaving something blank. You would have to write your name on your ballot and that sort of thing to invalidate the entire ballot paper, but they're treated as separate bits, and each referendum question itself is treated as a separate contest. So, yeah.
This might be an odd question, but because I experienced this at an AGM the other day, somebody voted for 2 people that were up for a position. And so does this ever happen with the ballots for elections? Do you ever see people voting for 2 candidates?
We have very, very low levels of spoiled ballots, less than 1%.
And that's considered spoiled?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. If you vote for more than one candidate, yes.
Okay.
If you vote yes and no for a referendum question, that also will be spoiled because we don't know which one it is, right?
Right. Okay.
But even if you vote for 2 candidates, which you're not allowed to because you can only vote for one, and you vote for yes or no for a referendum question, the candidate portion of the ballot paper would be spoiled and not counted, but the referendum questions, if answered properly, would be counted. So,
okay.
Yeah, it's set up that both are dealt with separately.
Okay. You broke that down. Very good, thank you. And you added some questions that would have come up. All right, we've got to go to our next commercial break, and when we come back, if there's any callers, we will take them, and we'll see. We might have somebody else join us in studio. We'll see.
I'm Michael Webster.
And I'm Denise Brown of Cayman Insurance Center.
Family is not the most important thing, it's everything.
We have worked with the community and their families on protecting themselves for the future.
Whether it's providing top-rated life insurance
or protecting your family's household investment.
From our family to yours, we understand and we care.
I'm Denise Brown. Call me at 814-7229.
And I'm Michael Webster at 925-5433.
We are Cayman Insurance Center.
Specializing in property, life, and other lines of insurance products and services at an affordable rate. We are Michael and
Denise at Cayman Insurance Center.
Call today.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
Hello, this is Ralston Anglin, inviting you to my campaign launch rally on Saturday, March 15th at 6:30 p.m. at the Cayman Turtle Center's parking lot. Come out and join me for an evening of testimonials, plans for our future, light refreshment, and local entertainment. Remember, on April 30th, vote number 1, Ralston Raleigh Anglin for West Bay North.
We are Radio Cayman, covering Cayman Brac, Little Cayman, and Grand Cayman.
1 in a million. The Buzz with your host, Kathy Miller.
Good morning. Welcome back to The Buzz. I'm your host, Kathy Miller. We are talking about general elections 2025 with the Supervisor of Elections, Mr. Wesley Howell. And just joining us in studio right now is the Deputy Supervisor of Elections, Miss Sheena Glasgow. So,
good morning, Kathy.
Good morning
to everyone listening.
How are you doing this
Mr.
morning?
Howell.
Good morning. Good morning.
You good this morning?
Well, I'm awake. I'm not saying anything about my voice. We'll see. I apologize, but traffic was horrible this morning, as every morning, particularly when you're coming from the east.
Yes.
So,
yeah. I live 2 minutes away, so not to rub that in. I don't have these issues. I could even run here if it needed
Spoiled towner, I see.
You know.
Never mind.
One
I
of the
call my
perks.
sister the same thing.
One of the perks.
Yeah.
Well, aren't
Anyway,
you from
so-
town? I thought you were from town.
Born and bred.
Okay.
Mostly raised, but then dislocated.
Right. Okay. Right.
Not relocated.
No. Okay.
Dislocated.
I was like, okay. All right.
Anyway,
All right.
let's get back to the topic.
Moving on. Yes.
I know Mr. Howell's been doing a fantastic job
He
so
has.
far because he always does. Like I said, I'm just back up.
Well, welcome.
Thank
So
you.
should we
Thank you.
shine the spotlight on you? You're ready to throw you in the deep end, or?
We'll give me something I can actually answer. If it involves statistics, let me just say.
Well, I think we're going to talk about now is the claims and objections.
Okay.
So going into that part.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, claims and objections, I was thinking of the same thing, but they're two kind of different things.
Yeah.
Okay.
So a voter or a registering officer can object to someone that's on the list. So if your neighbor is no longer your neighbor and they've moved to another electoral district, but they hadn't updated their information to change their address, then someone on that voters list in that electoral district can object to them. If your information on the revised list is not accurate, we spelled the name wrong, you're in a wrong electoral district, you can file a claim. Or if you've been objected to, you can file a claim. And a claim is the individual claiming that they want something to change on the list. So you object to something on the list, or you claim that you want your information changed on the list.
Okay.
And both of those, the deadlines for those have long passed, but the hearings now will happen on Friday the 14th. And once the hearings are done and the claims and objections are either held up or refused, then the list is finalized and generated and ready to go for April 1st.
Okay. How does this the hearing work? Like, can you paint the picture for us?
It's a formal process. So they happen at the elections office. Objectors are required to show up in person or through an attorney or through another elector who they've authorized in writing to represent them. If you object and you don't show up, the objection automatically falls away. So it's as if it never happened.
Okay.
So, then the claimants would also then appear and explain why their claim should be upheld. And the revising officer, the chief magistrate, will weigh the evidence and make a decision based on those, and then that's final. It goes through to finalizing the list.
And the magistrate's decision is final.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What do people try to challenge that and say, I'd try to appeal it?
We've not had that. In the past, so for example, if you were not able to provide evidence that you should remain where you've been objected to remain, then the magistrate the chief magistrate, the revising officer, has in the past sort of said, okay, do you want to submit a change form now to move you to where you are, so at least you can vote where you're living if you can't vote where you used to be living. So I've seen that before, and then I've also seen some people saying, well, if I can't vote where I was previously registered or previously living, then I'm not voting any at all, and they're just struck off the register completely at that point. So
we're so tied to where we live, or we might feel our roots are, or something, right?
Some people, that their generations go back to a particular district.
Unlike Sheena,
no matter where
dislocated.
No matter where they move to, they still consider themselves a person from that district. So yeah.
All right, we've got a caller on the phone, so if you want to pop your headphones on, and let's hear what the caller has to say or to ask. A good morning. Thank you for calling The Buzz.
Good morning. This is Alice Mako. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Miss Alice May.
And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for helping us understand the process one more time. I haven't checked the list yet to make sure that my name is still there, but I will. But there's no need to have removed me, I'm sure. Just one question. I understand we're having the candidates and the referendum questions or paper all in one. I'm trying to visualize what that looks like. Is that one sheet with candidates and then a second sheet then with the referendum question?
Hi, Ms. Alice May. It is actually one complete ballot paper that has the candidates at the top, and then the bottom has the 3 referendum questions in the same order that they appeared in the referendum act. Yeah, so one combined sheet of paper.
Okay. All right. I know you explained that you can vote for the candidate and ignore the referendum or vice versa and things like that.
Absolutely.
But yes, I'm hoping that no one will get confused. It shouldn't.
They shouldn't. And
we have savvy voters.
The example I used was back in 2013. You know, if you moved from East End where you could vote for one candidate and move to Georgetown, then you could vote for up to 6 candidates, but you can't vote for 7. That would spoil your ballot. But if your family member in West Bay wanted to vote, they could vote for up to 4 candidates, 1, 2, 3, or 4. If they voted for 5, then they would spoil their ballots. Right. And we had less than 1% spoiled ballots with that complexity of how many people you could vote for and not going over your vote. So I don't think we'll have any problems with folks doing a yes/no for 3 questions.
Yes. No. When it comes to the election day, I think our electorate, the voters, are pretty sharp.
Yeah, absolutely.
In addition, I would give a shout out to our election volunteers at this point, the presiding officer who would give the elector, the voter, their ballot before they go into the booth, has very clear instructions that they will give verbally to the voter. In addition, we will have those same instructions in a printed form readily available. I think they'll be in each booth.
Yeah, absolutely.
In each booth, Miss Alice May. So the voter will get it verbally from the presiding officer when they're getting their ballot, and then when they go into the booth to mark their ballot in privacy, they will have the printed version of the instructions there as well. So we're anticipating that between the two, and in addition to the public education that we're doing leading up to Election Day, that it will become clearer and easier to understand.
I must thank the elections office. You all always do an excellent job. If anything goes wrong, it's really not your fault. It's up to us to do the right thing. But one observation, one comment I will make, Mr. Wesley was saying, you can vote for the referendum, yes, no, whatever, and ignore the candidate part and vice versa. From my perspective, I feel it is most important that you do both parts, top and the bottom, because if you want your referendum, yes or no, to have the chance of being held up, you must vote for candidates who will honor the results of the referendum, whether it's yes or no. So vote for part A or top and vote for the bottom. I certainly am going to put my little X everywhere there's an opportunity to put my X. And I would encourage everyone, exercise the right and privilege we have to have a say. Because when we don't exercise that right and privilege, then from my end of the bargain, I would say I don't have any right to complain then if I'm not trying to make things go the way they should go.
Yeah.
Thank you all. God bless. And may everybody carry out their electioneering in an honorable, respectful way to each other, and all go well and keep us safe. And at the end of the day, that we will have a government that listens to the people, picks sense out of nonsense sometimes, but God willing that we will continue on an onward and upward direction. God bless. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Well said.
I couldn't have said that any better myself.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks for that.
And a great point in the sense of if you think you don't care about nominating for a candidate, I mean, but you're going to answer the referendum questions, you should really think twice about not going for a candidate because that candidate will either uphold or not,
Yep, absolutely.
So we do have another caller, and that's via WhatsApp. All right, so we're going to take the caller via WhatsApp. And good morning. Thank you for calling The Buzz. How are you doing today?
Morning, sir. How are you doing? From the time you said good morning, I knew who you were. You have one of those voices that it's really easy to pick up.
I looked at Wes and mouthed, Mr. Arden.
Yeah.
Okay, yes. Okay.
Thank you.
You're preaching to the choir on that one.
Well, I was going to say, Mr. Arden, that was a rhetorical comment, right? Because you hit all the nails on the head, and I didn't see any reason for us to respond. Well said. Thank you, sir. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I think the caller just wanted to make it clear that it was going to be on one ballot paper and not maybe split into two, just to have a better idea of what to expect on election day. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully they don't.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What?
Mm-hmm.
We wouldn't expect any different, sir. That would not be Mr. Arden. That would not be the Arden McLean that we know. Oh, well, yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Why is it that we got set up court? You gotta go, Cayman Brack must be soon now too, and you got set up court for a magistrate to tell you and put a signature on it when your signature just as good as a magistrate. I have argued this forever. What that will do, I think the law, and don't quote me, you would know it better than me right now because I've been out of it for so long, Wes. The court gives, the law gives the registering officer a specified time to get back to the people or approve them. I think it's 21 days, something like that. I don't remember.
Yes, sir.
You could tell me that Wes Howell is not capable of saying, yes, this person qualified. 99.9% that you carried it, the judge does not object to.
Yeah.
The judge doesn't object to anyone. But yet we still got to go there.
Yeah.
It just does not make sense.
Let's give Sheena and Wesley a chance to respond to you because we're about to wrap up this segment of the show. Sorry, Mr. McLean, but I just want to make sure that they do have a chance to respond to you.
Mr. Howell, will you let me go first on this one, please?
Sure.
Again, Mr. McLean, preaching to the choir. We do not disagree with you, but as you have said, you've raised this as an issue for many years. But the buck does not stop with either Mr. Howell or me or any the registering officers. It's the legislation. It's the way the legislation is set out. And the people to change the legislation is neither Mr. Howell nor me nor the registering officers. It is our political directorate or politicians, the people that we put in Parliament, who will ultimately say yay or nay. So they are really the persons to implement any significant change like that. And if I may throw in a personal view of this, and I'm sure Mr. Howell is saying, oh, what is Sheena going to say now? But my personal view of it, Mr. McLean, is that we as a country are still, I say, maturing politically, and that includes legislation that empowers our people more. And I say empowers our people more, Mr. McLean, because that's what you were talking about, that we underestimate the intelligence of our people. So we're a little slow to get there. Again, this is me outside my position saying that. But hopefully, Mr. McLean, if you and others who feel like that keep pushing the message, then eventually the people with the power to make such changes will get on board. Mr. Howell, you okay?
Well said.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Mr. McLean, as well for your comments and raising that.
You, sir.
And it is interesting because for me, I feel like that's how I would have answered it. So y'all are definitely teaching me things in these past couple of months. So that's the way to go. So yes. we only have maybe about 2 minutes before we got to go to a commercial break before 9 a.m. So in these 2 minutes, last kind of things you want to let people know about.
If I can take a couple of minutes, a couple of seconds to speak to the candidates. So there are some things that they needed to have done prior to nomination, i.e. register of interest with the Standards and Public Life Commission. There are some things that they need to do a month before the election, so not at nomination day, and that's related to Section 62(1)(g) of the Constitution. And anyone who has a contract with the government who is running for office has to gazette a notice that they have that contract. Now, it could be as complex as being a partner or having a company, owning a company that's doing major work with the government, or you may actually be leasing an apartment under NAU or the Department of Finance assistance to an individual. It's a contract with the government. So those contracts need to be gazetted for anybody who's running for office a month before the election. So it's not something that we would deal with from the elections office. This would be subject to a challenge if they were successful and didn't declare that interest. We'll be briefing the candidates on the 29th of March. So that's a week change, and their agents. So we encourage them to come out. We've handed out handbooks, but I can tell from the questions that I get they're not reading the handbook. So maybe we can condense it into a couple hours briefing, and we've invited the RCIPS to come along as well to talk about issues around treating election offences, those sorts of things as well. So that's on the 29th of March. But important stuff for us this week. The next deadline is hearings and objections on Friday, and moving forward, candidates deadline and briefing deadline, and then mobile voting, postal voting.
Right. And I know we're going to have you on the show again sometime in April for sure.
Yes.
So.
Susan has pre-booked.
Yes, absolutely. She's done great with that. We got to go to commercial break right now. So thank you both for joining me this morning and giving so much information, updating. I definitely learned a lot as well, so I feel good, especially if I almost could have answered Ms. Garden's question right there. So we're going to go to commercial break, and then we're wrapping up with the elections office, and we have a totally different event to talk about right after the 9 a.m. news.
Hey, Cayman parents, we get it. You're underslept, over-trafficked. You can barely find your sanity in the morning because you're still trying to find your kids' shoes and lunch boxes. Let Yum take some of the stress away. Every day, over 3,000 students enjoy delicious, nutritious meals from Yum. Over 5 million lunches served and counting. Private school parents? Browse the Yum Cayman app and order up to a month in advance or last minute by 12 a.m. the night before. Government school students? Just drop by the Yum canteen. No pre-orders needed. Yum can't help you find your sanity, but we can sure make your mornings just a bit easier. Check out daily menus at myschoolpos.com or visit yumcayman.ky to learn more.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
Since 1976.
Covering Grand Cayman, no Cayman, Cayman right. One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands. From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines. Local, regional, international news.
The Headline News is brought to you by Kirk Market and Health Services Authority.
I'm April Cummings with your latest headlines. The Breast Cancer Foundation's 16th annual Light Up the Night Walk sees more than 1,800 participants turn up to show support for those affected by breast cancer. The foundation says the event on March 1st raised a, quote, record amount in donations. The funds will help individuals and families facing the challenges of a breast cancer diagnosis. In regional and international headlines, Trinidad and Tobago Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley has joined other Caribbean community leaders in defending the Cuban Health Brigade after the U.S. announced the expansion of an existing Cuba-related visa restriction policy that targets forced labor linked to the Cuban labor export program. CARICOM countries have called for a meeting with Washington to discuss the issue after U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said the expanded policy applies to current or former Cuban government officials and other individuals, including foreign government officials, who are believed to be responsible for or involved in the Cuban labor export program, particularly Cuba's overseas medical missions. The Barbados government says the level of public debt has declined to slightly above 100% of gross domestic product and international reserves have risen to Barbados' $3.2 billion, representing 31 weeks of imports. Minister for Finance Ryan Strawn, presenting the government's budget presentation Monday, said as a result of this turnaround, the 2-to-1 peg of the Barbados dollar has been safeguarded for future generations, and reserves are set to remain at record levels, bolstering confidence in the economy and driving growth in the years ahead. Those are your headlines. I'm April Cummings.
Radio Cayman. More news available at www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter. Radio Cayman Headline News.
Do you have a healthcare question but not sure who to ask? Contact HSA's Patient Call Center to speak to one of our experienced clinical team members. We are here to answer your questions and help guide you through your healthcare journey. Need to make an appointment? Our team can help. Contact HSA at 949-8600 or email info@hsa.ky. At HSA, we are committed to caring for you.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
The Buzz with your host, Kathy Miller.
Good morning. Welcome back to The Buzz. I'm your host, Kathy Miller, and this is our second week of going until 9:30. As I've said from last week and the week before, we have rebranded from the Business Buzz to The Buzz. The show's going a little later until 9:30, and we are welcoming phone calls if you got anything to say about this segment. I know we just wrapped up with elections there, and we're totally changing gears, but a reminder of the numbers to call: 925-3261. You can WhatsApp call or WhatsApp text that number. You can call on 949-6990, 949-8037, or 1-800-534-8255. And on this segment of the show, I'm happy to be speaking with the Cayman National Choir and Orchestra. We have in studio, we have Charity Putman. She's the chair. And we have a new member, a new National Choir member. We have Ben Shipman. Good morning. How are you doing today?
Good morning. Thanks for having us.
It's great to have you. And I know we've spoken a few times before, so it's nice to have you back in studio.
Thank you.
And we are talking about an upcoming concert called Rhythms and Reflections. I love the name.
Yes. Yes, we're so excited. We're presenting this concert on Friday at 7 p.m. at the Harkwell. Rhythms and Reflections is under the canopy of the K-Fest Festival.
Yes.
That CNCF is putting on. And of course, the CNCO is a resident company of the Harkwell. They are our sponsors. They are our home. We are so happy to be there. And it's really nice, especially this year, to be able to present our concert under the canopy of K-Fest and get all that extra support. And we're hoping to see a full house. It's looking pretty good so far.
Okay, nice. Is this a ticketed event?
This is a ticketed event. Tickets can be purchased on EventPro for $30, $10 for students. There will be some tickets available at the door, but I highly recommend to get them online first to avoid disappointment.
I agree, because the last event that I did go to that the National Choir and Orchestra put on, don't ask me the name of it, I can't remember that, but I was late as per usual, and which I also really regretted, so don't be late, but that was a packed house.
Yeah.
A packed house. And I can't remember if it was one or two nights that you were doing, but it was completely packed. And I didn't know what to expect. So I was quite blown away, but also quite happy for that reception as well.
You know, the community support that we receive from all parts of Cayman always blows me away.
Yeah.
We are so lucky to have so many members involved that give their time and energy, and also we wouldn't be able to do this without the support of the community. So thank you, Cayman. You make this happen.
They do. They absolutely do. And, to all the performers, all the people that are part of the National Choir and Orchestra, it takes a team. It definitely does.
Absolutely. It takes an army of volunteers, for sure.
For those who might not know so much about the National Choir and Orchestra, can you just give us a bit of a brief summary on the mission and the role that you play in the community?
Absolutely. So just a bit of history that I always like to call back to is the Cayman National Choir was organized by Dr. Mel McCoy back in 1977, and it has been going strong ever since, and it has gone through a few different iterations. The orchestra, I believe, came into existence more around 2002, and they've grown together and been presenting together ever since. And in my research, because I'm naturally curious about these things, especially in my role as chair, was to find out the mission behind it. And I remember learning that Dr. McCoy, he brought this idea to the island and started the choir because he felt that there was a need to have some classical music in the community to bring that particular element. I mean, there's always been like amazing music being created on island and influenced by other Caribbean nations and the Caymanian music tradition. But I thought, let's infuse a little bit of classical music in there. Let's expand it even wider. And I think that, all these years later, we're still doing that. We're still infusing, this particular genre of music into the community. And now that we're working more with the Cayman National Cultural Foundation, we're branching more into educational initiatives as well. So we're so excited about bringing that to the island as well. I'm not sure if any of our listeners remember our Christmas concert at Elmsley. We had done a previous workshop with the Sunrise Adult Training Center and brought some music to them, and they were able to come and perform with us at the Elmsley Christmas concert. We've got more initiatives like that coming up this coming year to do outreach into the community, bring music to people who maybe can't make it to our rehearsals, or music enhances everybody's lives. So we're trying to do more initiatives, not only for the students, but adults as well, seniors. We've got a whole list of ideas, so stay tuned for those coming up in the new year.
I absolutely love it when you say that music enhances everybody's lives. It does. And in our lives, I think that we go through different eras of music, of what we like, what we're drawn to. And that's the most beautiful thing about it. So for me, it was always like, it's always going to be a part of my life. I don't know how, but I just thought if there's anything that's absolutely consistent in my life from when I was a young age to now, it's definitely music. That's one of those things. Ben, I want to ask you, you were telling me right before that you came on that you're one of the newest members for the National Choir.
I am. I think I joined about roughly 6 months ago.
Okay.
So not long ago at all. And just branching on from that, I think the community engagement that the choir brings, and as we were speaking about, music is one of the most beautiful things in the world.
Absolutely.
And why not use music as a medium for community engagement? As Charity mentioned, there's a lot of educational programs that are coming in coordination with CNCF. It's wonderful to be able to use music as a part of that. And I'm very, very happy that I made the decision to join.
What's your background with music, and how did you decide, okay, I'm going to join the National Choir?
I actually come from quite a musical family, so I'm
Really?
originally from London, UK, and that it was in fact Charity sitting next to me who encouraged me to join the choir, and went to a session, and it was just like being back at university, being in the university choir there. Lots of engagement, lots of positivity, and super, super easy and fun and very wholesome. I think music just enriches life. And so it's wonderful to be able to find that on Cayman, and very easy.
So you sing?
I do.
What's kind of...
So I'm in the bass section of the choir. I can sing
Okay.
bass 1 and 2, but I'm
Okay.
singing bass 1 for this concert.
Okay. If I threw you on the spot and said, give us a little something, you're giving me an eye, like, do not throw me on the spot. That's no problem. You don't have to. You know, if you feel for it, you could do it right before the end of the
I'm
show.
a performer,
but-
Kathy, so I think I must. But
Oh,
there's a
wow.
lot of diversity in this
Oh.
concert. So there's
You just teased
there's
us,
a
so
bit
now you're gonna have to.
There's a
Yes.
bit of swing, there's a bit of classical, which
Mhm.
Charity also alluded to earlier. But there's a little bit of imagine a little bit of Frank Sinatra with a bit of clicking and
Love it.
Step,
Yeah.
stepping out, and that's the only teaser.
I was like, okay,
I
we
can't do
got a
any
bit
more
of a
than
tease.
that.
I like it. Okay, that was enough.
If
All
that's
right,
not an
thank you.
incentive to get a ticket on Eventbrite right now.
we might get another little tease out of you a little bit later. Okay, I like it. So, a little bit about the inspiration behind the theme, Rhythms and Reflections.
Well, as we mentioned before, we are a part of the K-Fest Festival, and their overarching theme is kaleidoscope. And we thought, we can have some fun with this.
Mm-hmm.
You think of a kaleidoscope, you think of changing colors, changing shapes, and, in our case, changing sounds and rhythms. And it kind of gave us free rein to build an engaging concert without any rules around keeping, a specific theme. The world was our oyster. So, as you look through our program, we've got everything from chanson de toreador, so bizet. So we have a bit of the classical, but it's accessible. It's something that people will say, oh, I've heard that before, but it brings that classical root aspect, to the orchestra. And then we've got, more pop stuff. We've got both sides now with the choir. And then as a brass player, I can't help but love any brass kind of heavy pieces that Alina, our orchestra.
And my neighbor.
Yes, she is.
I always shout her out. Yes.
Shout out to Alina McKenna, our amazing orchestra conductor, for picking the theme from Chicago, the musical. So it's a montage of all the major themes from Chicago. So we have some incredible brass players that get to really show off their 20s kind of ragtime jazz skills.
Some of that big band sound
kind
as
of
well?
the big band sound. So if anybody's seen the musical Chicago, you are in for a treat. And then, we've got it balanced with some kind of Spanish-inspired pieces. I know the choir is doing Oi. Also, shout out to our amazing choral director, Melody Gifford. I know that, she spent a lot of time carefully curating the pieces for the choir, and then we've got some joint pieces between the choir and orchestra, which is, again, one of my favorite things, to have the full sound of the choir and orchestra in tandem is unbelievable to be a part of.
It sounds like you have a bunch of different musical elements.
We do, a bunch.
How are you able to blend all those kind of different sounds into one overall theme with Rhythms and Reflections?
Well, I think, with the idea of the kaleidoscope and the rhythm and reflections, so you've got your rhythm as the musical element of the theme, and the reflections, the kaleidoscope. So we would pick or pieces that, had the diversity of the rhythm, the changing rhythm, as if you are turning a kaleidoscope. But the reflection gave us the ability to go from light to dark to heavy to fast to inspirational to calm. We have a piece.
All different kind of feelings that music can evoke.
As if you are.
You see, it's complete opposites as well.
Yeah.
So the fact that the kaleidoscope changes so often, it's all about colours. It's a massive canvas on which that we can project.
Yeah.
It's all about introspective thought. It's about change. It's about the ebbs and flows of life, which we all navigate. And it's about us. In what way do we channel that into a beautiful sound? It's about, so ultimately it becomes a celebration of life and embracing life and all the changes that come with it.
Mm-hmm.
And a celebration of music.
And the diversity of everything.
Yes. We're going to go to our final commercial break for this show right here. And when we come back, we'll get in a little bit more into detail about Rhythms and Reflections.
Take some advice from your Aunt Angie. If you're going to invest in an exotic pet, choose anything but a Norwegian forest cat. Apparently, they will eat all your jewelry. Before you know it, you're racing to the vet when your cat escapes from his carrier and lunges for your earrings. You crash and your cat swallows your pearls. But if you're smart, you'll have CG Motor Insurance and get the best comprehensive coverage for the price.
Get the best comprehensive coverage for the price. CG Brit-K. Good like that. All benefits are subject to policy provisions, including eligibility at the time of service.
Tune in every Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. for Radio Cayman's Midday Newscast. Radio Cayman, the People's Station, your trusted official source for the latest news. The 12 p.m. news is proudly brought to you by Health City Cayman Islands. World-class healthcare within your reach.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
On a daily basis, making it easy to connect with you, our listeners. Add us to WhatsApp today, 925-3261. That's 925-3261.
Radio Cayman.
Send a text or voice note.
Message us at 925-3261 on WhatsApp today and get active with Radio Cayman.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
We give you honor and praise, adoration and glory.
Radio Radio Cayman.
Praise time.
Praise him, praise him. Come and let's praise the Lord. Come and let's praise the Lord. Praise him in the morning and in the evening. Oh, let's praise the Lord.
Praise time in the morning.
Praise him, praise him.
Weekdays 6 to 6:30 a.m.
Radio Cayman, waking you up.
Rock my soul in the blues of my faith, yeah. Rock my soul in the blues of my faith, yeah.
Praise time.
I know he cares. He'll always be there. Oh, yeah. Praise him, praise him, praise him,
Praise time.
Set your clock for 6 a.m. or you will miss it. The Buzz with your host, Kathy Miller.
Welcome back to The Buzz. I'm your host, Kathy Miller, and we're just in the final maybe 12 minutes of the show, and we are talking about Rhythms and Reflections. It's a performance that's going to be put on by the National Choir, Cayman's National Choir and Orchestra. It's happening this Friday at the Harkwell Theatre. I think, I should say that in studio with me I have Charity Putman, who's the chair of the Cayman National Choir and Orchestra, and Ben Shipman, who is a National Choir member, and he sings bass 1 and 2?
Correct, yes.
All right. And he gave us a bit of a tease. We might get another tease again. I don't know. We'll see. We were talking about Rhythms and Reflections. As I said, it's happening this Friday. You can buy tickets at
EventPro online. Few will be available at the door, but they are selling very quickly. So take a look on EventPro and secure your spot. We've been doing sellout shows recently, so it's very exciting. Tickets are $30, $10 for students. I will note our concert starts at 7. I know a lot of people that come to our concerts and support us are used to our shows starting at 7:30. So I just want to make a special note that this one is starting at 7 o'clock.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Ben, when it comes to the National Choir part of it, and I know you're 6 months in or so as part of the choir, and with musical selections, how much does a choir, I guess, play a part in saying, okay, we'd like to be able to perform these songs, or give an input, or say this might not work?
That's a good point. I think there's always scope for choir members and orchestra members, of course. We saw at when we did our annual Christmas concert at Elmsley that we did a wonderful piece, which was written by one of the members. So there is scope definitely to do that, but mostly it's done by the leaders. And again, I have to give massive credit to Melody Gifford, who we all love as a choir master. She's a wonderful leader. So I think the selections for this concert are enormously diverse and have been challenging but fun to watch the improvement and the progression as we learn to sing them and get into all the little nuances.
What is the concert prep like? It's going to be, I guess, 2 different elements of concert prep. There's the orchestra part and the choir part. So if you could answer for the choir part.
It's very fulfilling, very fulfilling. We practice at least once a week, and that progression that you get from the songs, there's always constant improvement, and then towards the end you think, wow, we're really nailing this. And then obviously then it comes to audience engagement, how that translates to our guests to make sure that they feel exactly what we feel. We've been doing this week on week, so we know the songs inside and out. So it's just how we project that onto our audience and make sure that they can get those rhythms and reflections, reflect on the ebbs and flows of life, and just celebrate it along with us.
Do you feel you catch the vibe from the audience members?
Hopefully, I think it's more that they catch the vibe from us.
Okay, yes. What an answer. That was a great answer.
But it should be a two-way street.
Right?
It should be a two-way street for sure. But yeah, we'll be locking eyes, and obviously we've got friends and family in the audience coming along to support us.
Right.
As well as people who are just there for the music.
What about the orchestra part of the prep? Can you answer that?
Orchestra, I love the rehearsal process. I almost like the rehearsal process more than concerts. That's always just been my thing. I love being in the room with a bunch of musicians. We're that first time getting that music and everybody's looking it over, and like Ben was saying, it's this progression. So that first run through, feeling ooh, and then, but it's working together. It becomes this living, breathing, almost, I was going to say animal of its own. The orchestra starts to listen to each other and play off of each other. And as the parts start to improve and, as Ben was saying, the choir, you start to learn the nuances and get into the really fine details by the end of the rehearsal process. Same with the orchestra. Once you've got the music under control, then the fun part comes of figuring out the accents and the details and making it musical as opposed to just notes. And for me, that process is so fulfilling. And then you're on stage and you get to share it with a whole community of people, and you just hope that they receive it in the same way that you are feeling it and putting it out there.
All right, we have a caller. You ready to take this call? All right. Good morning. Thank you for calling The Buzz.
Yeah, good morning.
How are you doing today?
Yeah, hey, not too bad. Hey, long here, but I hopefully that there is a Dr. Mel McCoy moment within this, what seems to be, might be a watershed performance of the choir and orchestra.
You hope there's a Mel McCoy moment in this?
Yes.
Okay, I'm definitely gonna let our guests speak to that. So,
I'm just curious if you can explain more of the Mel McCoy moment. I mean, obviously we always try to pay tribute to the foundations of the foundation of the choir's genesis. But what would you consider to be a Mel McCoy moment that you would be looking for that we should be paying attention to? What is your idea of the Dr. McCoy moment?
I think a Dr. McCoy moment would be a faith-based melody.
Oh, sir, we have you covered. We absolutely do. Yes, actually, our final piece in the program, we're doing Amazing Grace with the choir and orchestra combined, and it will be an incredibly moving piece.
All right. I like that. Thank you, caller, for your question, and I hope you got your answer right there. So that means that we hope to see you in the audience this coming Friday for Rhythms and Reflections. That's interesting because a lot of people, when they do think about the National Orchestra and the National Choir, they do clearly, attribute Mel McCoy, right?
Absolutely.
So just to have a question on how are we going to kind of honor him in this performance? I like that. That was kind of cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I think some of the listeners may remember back to our October concert. We're trying very hard to be able to reach back to Caymanian musical culture and traditions. And we had the amazing Randy Shillette come and partner with us as our special guest. And
that's what I was late for.
And we debuted the orchestral and choir version of Southeast by South. My brain just went blank there for a moment. And the response we got from the community after that performance was phenomenal. And it was, for me as a performer on stage, watching Mr. Shillette perform and being able to bridge, what is the choir and orchestra, but so naturally infuse Caymanian culture and the music. I will never forget that performance as long as I live.
I will never forget it. And like I said, I just arrived for his performance. When he started, I was maybe he was maybe a minute into it or so, but then, you arrive and you're sitting down and I'm a little flustered because I'm late. And so don't be late because I wish I had taken my phone out. I'd record a little bit of it, but I wish I had taken my phone out and record that entire thing. It was so beautiful. It was so moving, and I was completely blown away. So insane. I mean, that was a packed house as well,
it was,
right?
Yeah, that was completely sold out.
Yeah,
so
very emotional kind of a journey.
It was, wasn't it just though? And so going off the back of that obvious successful concert and that collaboration, we will be moving forward in our coming concerts. along that type of theme, having different Caymanian musicians and different traditional folk tunes as an incorporated part of our concert. So we are paying tribute because it's a community organization.
The culture will be reflected.
Absolutely. It's a Cayman National Choir and Orchestra.
Yeah.
So it needs to happen.
Absolutely.
And I'm so excited that it is.
So I'm interested because you had said you're going to end with a faith-based piece, which is Amazing Grace, right?
Yep.
Which, gives a little bit of hope and inspiration. And I thought, because in my mind, how I'm hearing this is that would be more of a quieter ending. So I'm just assuming things. So I would have thought that you're maybe going to start off a little quieter. So could you kind of paint us a picture? And I could be wrong, right? This is just me thinking things, will... is crescendo the right word? When it builds
absolutely.
up? Absolutely.
Yeah, crescendo. Very good.
Trying to throw in my small musical terms that I might know here. So I would think there'd be a build-up. So can you kind of describe how that evening would go for us?
It's Amazing Grace will be a sort of grand finale, shall we say, of all the things that we've been talking about hope, about the changes of life. But yes, there is a reason that Amazing Grace is the final piece. It's one that everyone's familiar with, for sure.
Yeah.
But expect the unexpected for Amazing Grace. This is a slightly different arrangement, which might not be so obvious when we start singing. So it's a really beautiful arrangement. Lovely piece.
Okay.
In terms of how we get to our final piece, we will take you on a journey. Like Ben said, expect the unexpected. We've got a variety of pieces that are fast. We've got a few Spanish rhythmic inspired pieces for both choir and the orchestra. We've got Smooth by Santana, which should be very interesting for the audience, and that's the orchestra piece.
I love Santana, so yes, talk about rhythms.
Yes. It's incredible to play. But when you're creating any sort of concert, no matter if it's for orchestra and choir, or just a gig in any sense, you want to take your audience on a journey.
Yeah.
You want to take them with you and do those twists and turns, and then by the end of it, you can see the bigger picture of how they arrived there. And I think that our orchestra and choral directors, Melody Gifford and Alina McKenna, have done an amazing job in curating this particular concert and picking pieces that inspire but are also relatable, making the classical realm very accessible, because there's show tunes. And any ABBA fans, I won't say too much more, but if there's any ABBA fans out there, you will not be disappointed in this concert either. So we've got a little bit of everything for everybody.
There's a lot of diversity in it.
A lot of diversity.
Which makes sense, falling under the theme of the Kaleidoscope, which is the theme for K-Fest.
Absolutely.
So Rhythms and Reflections this Friday at the Harkwell Theatre. Tickets are $30 or $10 for students. You can buy them at eventpro.ky. And Ben, this is your chance if you want to sing us out of this, to end the show. I mean, no pressure again, but I did say I might ask you again.
There's so much diversity. I mean, what do I sing? The classical, the swing? I don't know. But let's go with a little Let the River Run, I think. Let the river run, let all our dreamers wake the nation. And that's it.
And that's it. To hear more, you got to show up to Rhythms and Reflections. Get your tickets today, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. It was great to have you on the show. Yeah. And wishing you a fabulous performance on Friday.
Thank you so
much.
Thank
you very much,
No
Kathy.
problem. I'll be with all our listeners again on Thursday. The Buzz is proudly sponsored by Cayman Insurance Center, specializing in property, life, and other lines of insurance products and services. And Kirk Market. Experience a world of choice. And by Yum. Daily school lunch menus are available to browse on the Yum